You're watching the Fox 5 Morning News at 8.
Well, Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death in the U.S. It affects more than 5.5 million people. Dr. Elroy Vojadni is here from Regenera Medical, and we're going to talk about a new way you can predict if you might get the disease. And first things first, I have this in my family. I just lost my grandfather last year from Alzheimer's, so this is very near and dear to my heart. I'm hearing now, though, that it's not just genetic, that you can actually maybe find it and find it early.
Yeah, that's a big change that's been happening in medicine really in the last 5 years, is that previously we thought that Alzheimer's was entirely genetic, that you were either going to be born with this, you didn't know if it was going to happen to you or not. And in the last recent years in medicine, we found out that there's actually a big component of the environment that influences whether you're going to end up with this disease or not. So that's what we're trying to understand. What is it specifically in the environment for an individual that would make them predisposed to ending up with this disease?
What are some of those things? Give us the list.
Unfortunately, because there's so many things in the environment, that list is really long.
Yeah.
So part of what we do is trying to individualize it. But in general, foods and toxins. So some people react to foods inappropriately. Their immune system reacts to them. Toxins, things that we're all exposed to in life, things like metals, aluminum, plastics. And then the third category is, unfortunately, sometimes infections can also play a role in Alzheimer's disease. We've heard a lot about things like the herpes simplex virus doing things like this.
These numbers are growing. Why are the numbers growing so vastly of people being diagnosed with Alzheimer's, dementia, memory loss?
Heather, you're right, the numbers are growing dramatically. Right now we have 5.6 million people who are diagnosed with actual Alzheimer's disease in the United States. That's set to triple in the next 30 years.
Oh my goodness.
More important than that, we have 47 million Americans right now who have preclinical Alzheimer's. That means that the process of Alzheimer's is happening in their brains, but they don't have actual Alzheimer's disease yet.
Before we talk about what people can do if they're seeing those signs, what are the symptoms? What are those early signs?
So memory loss, progressive memory loss is number one. So starting to forget things, difficulty balancing your checkbooks, difficulty with tasks that require your brain on a daily basis, getting lost on a walk, and then a lot of people experience mood changes as well, unfortunately. There's a lot of depression involved with Alzheimer's.
Oh, that's so sad. You have a blood test that can help you predict now whether or not it would work, or whether or not you might be having any pre-existing conditions?
Yeah, part of the issue for us in the medical field is that we don't have a lot of tools available to us to try to identify who's in that 47 million person group or who isn't. So we developed a risk assessment tool, essentially, doing a large panel, more than 20 different markers on there, trying to identify whether there are abnormal brain proteins, interactions with different things in your environment, and trying to identify who might be in that group and who is at risk in the future.
Well, yeah, and then maybe give yourself a couple of extra years if you're someone who might have that pre-existing condition or something where you see things happening. You can add years to your life. You can actually maybe not reverse dementia and Alzheimer's, but there's a lot of different things, and we have some examples in front of us of things that you can do to make all those environmental factors not go away, but maybe take the eraser and do a little bit of work there, right? So what can we do?
Absolutely. You can be very conscious about what you're being exposed to in your life, right? And the thing that we're exposed to the most on a daily basis is your food, right? So I like to say, eat with your brain in mind. Your brain is 60% fat. You need to be eating, thinking that your brain needs fat for fuel. That's using things like walnuts and chia seeds, right? Olive oil, wonderful source of plant-based fats, right? And then the brain is also really dependent on nutrients that reduce inflammation, and we can get those things from vegetables, greens, Swiss chard, red and yellow bell peppers, and blueberries. And then the other thing is making conscious decisions about what you're exposed to, making sure that you're exposed to less toxins, avoiding aluminum as much as possible. There have been several studies that link aluminum to Alzheimer's disease. Stop eating things out of cans, don't use aluminum foil, cook with a stainless steel pan.
Right. This is a big one. People don't realize that all deodorant that's sitting up on the shelf, but we've been putting it under our armpits forever, it has aluminum in it. And now there's all these natural options, but the natural options sometimes you leave a little bit stinky, in the middle of the day. So what should we do for people who might have this genetics, right? Like maybe they have it, like for me, my grandfather and my great-grandmother had it. What do we do? Do we just say give it up and figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a family risk for Alzheimer's disease, we know that aluminum can be a major issue. I say use the natural options. They're getting better every day. Putting something like aluminum on your skin in intimate contact with your body is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Switch to the natural
I wonder how they
option.
still sell it, you know?
I wonder that all the time.
Yeah,
Heather.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Okay, so trying to take all those natural, bringing natural things in, taking the toxins out of our homes. I love this. I could talk to you for like 4 more hours about this topic because I love it and listen to all the podcasts about it. So thank you so much for
my
being
pleasure.
here and telling us more about this.
Thank you for having me.